Okay, here we go.
So it looks like we are live. Hey everyone, welcome to today's live stream. If you are live right now, if you can hear us, if you can see us, let us know in the comments box below. We're streaming on YouTube today. And so it's going to be an interesting conversation and journey. And with that, we will begin. On YouTube today. And so it's going to be. Oops. Yeah. Okay. What's up, Action Tribe? AJ here, host and founder of My Seven Chakras, my7chakras.com, the show where we help you calm your mind, relax your nervous system, and experience the bliss of being alive. Today's episode, we talk about some really amazing topics, including inner discipline, the importance of exercise, the importance of challenges and struggles and difficulties, and why you might be just one step away from changing your life, from transforming your life. So, if you're excited about this episode and you'd like to support our efforts, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right now because it does something to the algorithm that allows more people to get to know about our podcast. And that honestly is the single biggest thing that you can do for us today. So, whether you're on your iPhone, hit subscribe. If you're on Spotify, hit follow. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. All right. And before we actually begin, let's listen to our latest iTunes review by one of our listeners, Music God, who writes, "So grateful I found you." He says, "AJ, I can feel your beautiful soul by just listening to you. What a blessing for humanity you are. Thank you for all your content and your gifting to the world. Keep it up. People are listening. I am forever grateful to you, my friend." And my friend, I'm grateful to you for writing us this amazing review. So, Action Tribe, if you'd like for me to read out your review as well, go to my7chakras.com/review, my7chakras.com/review, and write down what you think about our podcast. And with that being said, let's bring on our special guest for today, Leo Frincu. A former world champion wrestler, Leo Frincu has been training professionals and amateurs for over 15 years. For the past decade, he has owned Results Studio, a premier gym in Los Angeles, California, and he has had the privilege of training world champions Ronda Rousey, Romulo Barral, Mikaela Myers, and Diana Prazak. Leo's coaching principles were taught to him by his coaches and his father. The principles took him to a world championship and beyond. And these are the same principles successful business leaders, writers, actors, singers, and dancers use. And they are the same principles people from all walks of life use to achieve a level of mastery that a well lived life requires. So, welcome, Leo.
Well said, AJ. Well said. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. It's great to have you on. Super excited to begin our discussion, and like we always do, I'd like to begin from the start. Where
AJ,
did you
one
grow up?
quick. Hey,
Yep,
are,
good.
are these glasses appropriate for your show? I know you're a very serious guy, very uh, passionate about your craft. I just don't want to be inappropriate by wearing those glasses. Are these okay?
I mean, it's totally up to you. If you're
Yeah,
comfortable with it, then
yeah.
let's vibe.
Okay, I have a different pair. I know maybe that will go better with your maybe with our
Okay.
with our theme today. I
Yeah, it's
think I
fun.
think I think this will be more appropriate. With it's all about love, acceptance,
Yeah,
uh, winning, and
absolutely.
victor. Okay, here we go. Thanks for having
So
me, AJ.
you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And that's one of the other benefits of someone who is watching our live stream compared to listening the to the audio is that they get to see the guests and myself and us having this discussion. So that's one added bonus. So people, if you're not on our YouTube channel, make sure that you come on YouTube and watch these sessions as they are streamed live. So Leo, my question is back to the very start. Where did you grow up as a kid, and what was life like back then?
Well, I grew up in Romania. Back then, it was a communist Romania, and looking back, when I was in there, it was a very simple life.
Hmm.
Um, we basically were happy with what we had. Didn't know that we can have more, but looking back, I realized that we grew up with so many. Uh, I won't say deficiency, but so much less than uh, kids nowadays live and grow up with. I mean, uh,
Hmm.
regardless, it was a beautiful childhood. It was a I felt free. Great thing, great things.
Amazing. Yeah, sometimes, especially in these days, you tend to miss the simplicity of those days, right? When we did
Yeah,
not
no.
have all these platforms and these notifications and this email, which sort of keeps us in a state of stress sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. We look back. I mean, I look back and uh, I I live moments. I really experienced life, true experiences, and create a lot of memories. One time, I told my former stepson, and I said, Thomas, you're always on your devices. What kind of stories are you going to tell your kids? I mean,
Mm,
what you got to the level 4 in this game, and what kind of story? You know what he said, Leo? I'll tell them your stories, because there's a lot of stories that come from a childhood filled with activities and living.
mm. And so, how big is Greco-Roman wrestling in Romania?
Well, used to be a very, very big sport in Romania.
Yeah.
We produce a lot of Olympic and world champions, especially back in the day. Um, uh, Sports in general, especially wrestling back in the day, was not necessarily just wrestling. Was almost a gateway, maybe a chance for us to visit, to get away from the country, to travel a little bit.
Mm,
So wrestling meant a lot for people and kids like me back then than it is right now.
right. And for people who are listening to the show, because some of the topics that we tend to talk a lot about are energy healing or maybe yoga and Ayurveda. And when somebody thinks about wrestling, what might come to their mind, albeit incorrectly, is WWE. But
Yeah.
so, how is Greco wrestling? How is it different from other types of wrestling or other practices that somebody might be more familiar with?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the WWE is scripted. I mean, we
Yeah,
know already who's gonna win. It's
yeah,
more of a show, use chairs, all kind of stunts.
yeah,
Uh, Regardless, it's a very challenging, sport.
yeah.
Uh, we can call it sport. I mean, I don't want to upset any of the
Right.
WWE athletes, but wrestling is completely different. It's the real deal. It's nobody knows who's gonna win.
Yeah.
Um it's a different activity
Mhm.
altogether. Yeah.
And how did you, as a child or maybe as a young adult, get introduced to wrestling? What was that story?
Well, growing up in Romania, you grow up with a lot of um, you don't grow up with a lot, period.
Mm,
So there was a lot of me that needed to be expressed, and one of my neighbors saw me wrestling all other kids and being a little rowdy. So I said, "Come on, I'll take you to the wrestling gym. I think you might like it."
mm,
He asked my parents if he can take me there one time.
mhm,
I was about 6.5 years old, and I remember that first day when I walk in that gym. I'm with kids from the neighborhood. I wasn't familiar with athleticism. We played soccer in the back of our building on a street corner. We kind of, very active, but never organized stuff. I was very young, 6.5. But when I walk in that room full of people, full of wrestlers, I look at them and I say, "Wow, wow." I mean, I was fascinated by not by the strength that these
mhm,
athletes had, and I look at them and I say, one day I would just want to be like them. I just want to be
mm,
strong like them, because I needed a lot of strength in whatever the family environment I grew up in, uh, to make it through the day, so to speak.
mm,
So seeing those people, seeing those athletes so strong, so powerful, so independent. I mean,
mhm.
I mostly fall in love with that feeling rather with the sport itself.
Interesting. So you fell in love with the strength of the
Yeah.
individuals as well as the independence. Talk to me more about the independence that you noticed in this league of individuals that you had seen for the first time.
Yes, yes. I fall in with the idea what I could become. Do you
Mm,
see what I'm saying? I mean, and for me, uh, my mother wasn't the most loving parent in the world, so I always look for that uh, family environment. I would always look. I was craving a role model, a mentor,
mm,
and I was like a kid in a candy store. I felt like I can follow any of those guys, and they'll lead me in the right direction. Do you see what I'm saying? And I remember
yeah.
another thing that I remember. Two of those wrestlers, they were talking about this upcoming trip in um, East Germany,
Okay.
because back then you only can travel to from communist to communist country. And they were talking about this travel and how they're gonna go there and gonna buy stuff that we didn't have and gonna bring it back. And I was listening to their conversation. I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean that you guys can travel?" I thought, so you can get away, you can escape this uh, environment. I was, you know, we didn't have a lot, but deep down in my heart, I knew that there's a lot more out there that's waiting
Hmm.
for me.
Mm. Now, in certain martial arts, especially maybe karate or taekwondo, you have belts, right? That
Yeah,
signify a level of hierarchy. Do you have
yeah.
that in wrestling as
No,
well?
no, we don't have in wrestling. Uh, Medals,
Ah,
winning matches establish your rank in the wrestling. We don't have that. I probably that would be, it's I can see how it's a bit motivating for someone
yeah.
young athlete to kind of keep going to get the next belt. In our sport, I think the only thing that motivates us is winning.
Mm.
Yeah, winning, or I know, depends how much fire you have, or how much passion.
Interesting. And so, when you got started, who was your mentor? Who was your trainer? Who was your role model? Maybe the first or maybe the first few.
Yeah. Well, my first coach was like a father figure for me.
Okay.
I look up to him, and I still do. Uh, he made a tremendous impact in my life. It was
Mm,
such a, although these people, they were the athletes, they were so strong and, I would say rough, in their games and their training.
mhm,
I look at this guy, my coach, and he was so nice and gentle. He said to me, "Why don't you sit down here and just look, just
mm,
watch, just see if you like what you see. You don't have to do anything. Just stay there." And I was
mhm,
watching, and it was like as I remember that day, and when you watch movies and you see those kids being mesmerized, and you can see how they fall in love with something. I was that
right.
I was that kid that I I look at that, and it's like just capture me.
Mm.
Yeah,
Also, there's something to say about an individual who is physically strong, but at the same time demonstrates qualities of kindness and compassion, right? Because we think about sometimes, usually, at least maybe in Hollywood, that a person is strong, is ferocious, is, ill mannered and rough and not good to people. But you over there saw somebody who was a leader, but at the same time was kind to you and was
yeah,
not forceful. And he said, you know what? Take your own time, watch
yeah.
it step by step.
It was amazing because you said something about strength. Some people, if we really look at strength, I think compassion is a form of strength.
Right.
Kindness is strength.
Yeah.
Love is the ultimate strength.
Hmm.
So I mean, somebody look at somebody strong that just has muscles or cauliflower ears,
Yeah.
or even some scars. All of a sudden, they think that, no, these people are maybe the strongest, the most compassionate, most empathetic, and lovable people out there. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, um, definitely do not let the appearances lead you in the wrong direction, because usually you can, like, how they say, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Very true. And so, In your book, you also write that since kindergarten, since you were a kid, you had this dream about being free. And so, were you trying to escape something? I mean, what about life in Romania did you want to get away from? Was it communism? Was it something else?
AJ, I grew up believing that I want to escape communism, right? But I look back, that life, I had a happy child. I mean, I could have used a little more love from my mother,
Yeah.
but other than that, I have friends. I play freely outside. Really, really fortunate to live that life.
Yeah.
So growing up, I thought that I want to escape Romania for some reason.
Mm,
First, I want to just be out of the house because whatever
mm,
the environment.
yeah.
But later, as I got older, I really truly realized what I was craving.
Hmm.
I was craving. I thought I was craving freedom from communism, but I was craving. Um, I was craving love.
Mm,
I was craving. I wanted to be myself. I was. I want to. I want to have the opportunity to be who I am.
hmm.
And it took a long time, very long time, and very a lot of soul and emotional searching to finally get a glimpse of that guy.
Mm. Yeah, that's such a profound statement. I mean, I also can, relate to instances in my own life where I wanted to, even though I loved my parents, I wanted to be away from them and maybe be in a new city, in a new country, experience some of that independence, have my own adventure, so to speak. And so, on your journey, at some point, you defected to the USA, right? How did that happen?
Yeah, it was a crazy story. All the team, we were training for the 2000 Olympics
Okay.
with the Olympic team, and we're supposed to come to the United States Colorado Springs Olympic Center to train with the USA Olympic team. We all got the visa. Uh, we had a date. Everything was scheduled. Like I would say, like a week before our departure, the coach comes and told us that the trip was canceled
Hmm.
because the sponsors who were supposed to pay for our trip did not get the visa. So they say we're not paying for it. They want to come and visit, but since they couldn't get into the country, they withdraw their funds and say we're not going to pay for it. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? I waited for this moment all my life." I mean, when I
Hmm.
saw that visa, when I got the the news that we're going to train to United States, to America, I thought that's
Yeah.
it. I had a chance to stay in Israel. I traveled all over the world, in France, all over the Europe, but nothing happened until I got that visa, United States visa. When I said to myself, "Oh my God, I gotta go there." I did not know why.
Hmm.
I did not understand.
Yeah.
It was just this pull right here, and
Mm.
then it so happened to know one guy that lived in Los Angeles, and
Hmm.
I called. Listen, I'm coming to America. Um, I'm staying. I'm not coming back. The guys, are you sure? Because that I was a big deal athlete in Romania. I was one of the Olympic
Mm.
hopefuls. I was a former world champion. I was very up and coming wrestler, and he was surprised to hear that. But I said, "No,
Hmm.
I'm coming." So
Right.
then I get the news that we're not traveling anymore. So somehow grab my passport and I bought about $300 for the plane ticket, and I left.
Mm.
And I left. When I left, AJ was one of these things that I said, "This is it."
Hmm.
I feel like I was going to war or something, not necessarily war, but I didn't know. I know that I'm leaving. I didn't know if when or if I'm coming back ever,
Hmm.
because I knew one person. Uh, I'm going to a country that I've never been before. Uh, to a culture, to a language that I never spoke before. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. The
So you
whole
came to Los Angeles?
So my first, yeah, I just arrived. I arrived to LAX,
Okay.
and I had $10 in my pocket. That's it. So the guy that I supposed to stay at, he
Yeah.
was playing is playing hide and seek with me. So he didn't really show up for a while. Imagine coming to a country that you know one person only, and he's
Yeah.
not showing up to the airport to pick you up.
Okay. Yeah.
And forget that. Imagine going to a country and breaking all the bridges going back. So there's no way coming going back for me because before I
Right.
left, I break all my bridges because I didn't want to give myself an opportunity to come back.
Hmm.
So I say I will make my um, make it impossible for me to go back. So I did make it
Hmm.
impossible. So I really cut everything because I didn't want to know. I thought, what if when I'm gonna be in the United States, what if I have a moment of weakness
Yeah.
and then I come back? So I say I did not give me that chance.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is that a mindset that you bring to everything that you do, burning the bridges, if you want to embark on a new project so that you don't have that sense of weakness that would make you want to go back to how things were before?
Only um if I think that activity or whatever that I was connected with and I want to leave behind, only if I thought that is something that is not helpful, or
Yeah.
is that is something that is holding me back, then I have to break all the ties with it. Somehow I wanted to didn't I make it so hard for me to go back to that whatever I'm trying to leave behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you come to America. The person who said he would meet you, he would help you, does not
He
sort
can't,
of show up.
but he did showed up. He did showed up, picked
Okay.
me up. We drove to the um, we drove to his place, and he says to me, "By the way, in the meantime, I saw haircut $10, and
Yeah.
I only had $10 in my pocket, and it was so expensive for me. And I said, oh my god, I would probably will never get a haircut in this country. Coming
Yeah.
to a country that haircut for me $10 was a lot of money.
Mm.
That stuck with me. Anyway, so in a way, there the guy's telling me, Leo, you're gonna see things that they're not really kind of legal here. So you're gonna come into a world that whatever you see or whatever you're gonna do, I don't want you to talk to anybody about it. So
Mm.
this is the advice I get in a way to wherever I'm going. To the only
Mm.
person that I put my life in his hands. He's
Hmm.
telling me that, listen, Leo, I'm involved in some illegal activities, but
Right.
just keep your mouth shut.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it was a journey, let me tell you.
So, as a newcomer to the USA, you don't know a lot of people over here. What was your process like to, in a way, establish yourself and at least be able to afford a haircut or something more than that? What was your game plan, so to speak? How did you come about that? How did you figure it out?
First thing I said, one step at a time.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I'm like, what is the next one that I need and to I didn't look like 20 years from there. I didn't know. I said, what do I need now? First thing that I need.
Hmm.
I need an income, or I need to make some money somehow. And boom, I make some money. Then, so everything that I do is I set a goal that sometimes I don't even know what that goal is. Um, I know that eventually I'll discover, uh,
Hmm.
or it would unfold. But I set a goal, and then I'm starting with next step that I need to take in order to move forward towards that goal.
Hmm.
So I figure, like, let me get a job. I got a job. I made $4 an hour
Hmm.
as a dishwasher. That was a trip because I come from a world champion wrestler,
Hmm.
training for the Olympics. Never
Hmm.
had a job in my life. Always, I wasn't the nicest person either. I was treating people like shit because I thought I'm better than them. Whether the waiters or this and that. Uh, and I'm coming from that status and that ego. Within 2 months, I was in a kitchen in Hollywood washing dishes with a big rubber
Yeah.
glove. That was a trip, let me tell you. That was not easy for me to suck it up and stay there and wash those dishes, and they will keep coming. Tell me, there were a lot of dishes.
So as you look back, what did that job or that experience do for your character?
We all he made me who I am. I mean, I anything that I went through, whether it was um whether it was is a divorce, or whether it is an accident, or things that happened that I didn't rather wanted to happen. I look back, and I'm thankful that everything happened the way it did.
Hmm.
Um, from growing up with an emotional, unavailable mother, uh, to communist country that was forbidding you to talk about freedom, express yourself, and be yourself. I mean, everything together make us who we are. The problem, what I realized with all this, with most, because I kind of work in a self improvement slash fitness industry, people, they try to disassociate themselves with the past, in terms like
Hmm.
things that they didn't think that they supposed to happen, or whether it's like, I mean, God forbid nobody wants to have being abused, but sometimes all this tragedy and uh, I would say negative things that happen to us are the ones that makes us stronger and winners and who we are. So uh, I look back and I look at all that, everything that I went through.
Hmm.
I never look at myself like, poor me. What am I going through? I'm like, okay, I am where I am now. I need what I need to do to get next step higher, and then next step, and then next step. um yeah, so it was an amazing journey. I gotta tell, I will not change anything.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's a good moment for all of our listeners to take a moment or take a pause and look back at their own life and notice all the experiences that they had to go through in order to come to where they are right now, which is listening to this podcast episode. Whether it was a high in your life, you got a new job, got married, had children, or maybe it was a low, you got divorced maybe, or maybe you lost a job or your business went bankrupt. Whatever it is, like you're pointing out to, every experience plays a role that helps you build your character, build your life. And if you look back, don't disown certain aspects of your life, because everything forms the whole. And you can rewrite your story. You can look at those same incidences, those experiences, and tell a different story that empowers you. And I think that's very powerful. So thanks a lot for sharing that. And
Absolutely.
Leo, what role does martial arts, any type of martial arts, maybe wrestling or some other type of martial arts, what role does it play in a person's development? How does it help?
I mean, I think any sport, especially, but more like first of all, it's an individual sport. So you are there on a mat on your
Yeah.
own versus the other guy, and you don't have anything but your bare hands. And
Okay.
something primitive about this. I mean, it's like
Right.
uh, it can't get more raw than that. So that just I was scared. I was so
Yeah.
scared. I was I wrestle out of fear
Mm.
my whole life, and I realized that I was scared most of my life. Scared of my mother coming home. Then I was scared of uh, getting uh, pain, or scared of my opponents in wrestling. So I now have thousands and thousands of hours on the mat. I was scared of that. So I realized that fear.
Hmm.
And it's something about fear that the more put yourself and look fear in an eye, I think the less effect fear will have on you. You will fear is never goes away. Everybody experiences the same feeling, the same fear. It's just not they're not as affected as equally like as anybody, like as everybody else. So I think
Mm.
martial arts and any sport, because it's the level, but the wrestling itself is just such a pure and I will not say barbaric, but like a primal sport
Yeah.
that it just you have to grow up, you have to own it, and you have to react, you have to perform, although the fear never goes away
Yeah.
up until the moment you step on a mat and everything else, you realize that it's gone and it's time for to throw them.
Mm. Yeah, I like that you say the fear never goes away. You're still afraid, but then you go beyond that fear
Yeah.
every time you step on the mat. And I don't do any martial art, although I've been thinking a lot about it. Maybe some wrestling, maybe some jujitsu, because like you've mentioned, it doesn't get closer than that, right? Especially if
Yeah.
it's another man breathing
Yeah.
down your throat or
Yeah.
holding onto your jacket and pushing you down. Right? It can feel intimidating. It can feel like
It's yeah.
literally,
It's
right?
yeah. Yeah. It's not. I mean, I would say it's not for everybody because there's a lot of people do it, but uh, that's every time you got to overcome some sort of obstacles. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, every time you go on a mat, there's a new guy. You look at his arms. I mean, every time there's something else that you're like, oh my god, this guy is gonna beat the crap out of me. But you have
Yeah.
to, you tell yourself this is the voices that we have in our head. They fucking tell us all the time you're gonna get. But then you just have to get over that. You just have over and over again, get over those fears, get over those voices
Yeah.
and step into that unknown.
Right.
And yeah, that's what the I think that's what it's not as I obviously the idea of getting hurt is
Yeah.
also a voice in your head that's telling you that it didn't really
That's true.
happen. So it's like
Yeah.
ultimately it's we tell ourselves a story, but if you get over that story that you tell yourself,
Right.
because you tell yourself a story about everything, but if you
Yeah.
think about it, everything is just a story. If you get over that story, I mean, there's a whole lot of world, life beyond that story. That, behind your script, it's a whole life that's waiting to be discovered.
I love that line. Love that line. Beyond. Can you say that again?
Beyond your script, because you
Beyond
write
your
a
script.
script, it's a whole life that's waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, that's very true. And I can imagine, like, if you have a practice of engaging in a martial art and you do it from time to time and you develop this brotherhood or this sisterhood or this group that you meet from time to time, other challenges, other obstacles in your life will be different, right? Because you're like, at the end of the day, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. Listen, I mean, we got all of us. We traveled together. We lived together in a hotel,
Mm,
and we. I mean, it was a family. It was a bond. There's there bonds were created and that it still exists. We're like a brotherhood. We all spread all over the world, but
yeah.
we have that connection. We
Mm,
not necessarily that we went through like parties and we did a lot of parties and fun times, but we also went through some dark times together. Whether
right.
with somebody loses, you lose a match. I mean, we all lose a match.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of matches, and at some point, one of us will lose a match, and then we got each other's back. We motivated, we supported each other, and in that moment of low,
Yeah.
that connected us a lot more than the happy times and the partying and the drinking and all that.
The lows connected you more than the highs. That is an interesting thing to do because I can see also in a family or maybe in a community when somebody, especially if the people are close together, if somebody is experiencing a challenge, a difficulty, a turmoil, that's actually a bonding moment where people have an opportunity, especially if the relationship was sour before, or maybe they didn't take efforts to really connect. Now that the person is going through that challenge, it's something about the human condition that makes you feel empathy, that makes you connect with the other person. And if you go through it, if you overcome it, your relationship is taken to the whole different level, right?
100%, AJ, you nail it. I mean, think about it. When you're low, that's when you need someone
Yeah.
the most. So
Yeah.
when you're low and somebody's there for you, that's where the bond gets created. That's right there.
Mhm.
Not when you need a beer and somebody hand it to you. You don't even look at it. Just you see the beer and now you don't even care who give it to you as long as the beer is there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, the lowest.
Yeah. And so, also as a wrestler in the early days, you're right that you never had a good relationship with food, and you were from time to
Yeah.
time critical about your body, right? So, talk to me about
Uh,
that phase
it's
in your life.
It's very interesting you said that. I lost, and I'm gonna say it twice. I lost over 1,000 pounds in my wrestling career. So a
Mm,
1,000 pounds. So uh, I somebody tells me, "What do you? How do you know? what it is to have weight problems. You look at you the way you look good. They don't realize that I was a living yo-yo, a
Yeah.
walking yo-yo, and I have a very poor relation with food. I was called a fatty. I was the fattiest of the team because I had the most weight amount of weight to lose and cut for the competitions. For those who don't know, wrestling are structured in weight classes.
Right.
So you are, as me, I usually drop some weight to go to a lower weight class, because if I wrestle the way I walk, my normal weight, some guy from up there will cut 20 pounds in a bigger frame, and it will be bigger size. So it's always a
Right.
thing that you have to cut to the lower class so you can match, get matched to the guy your size. So I was very critical. I was name called. I have my special table where it was called the fat table, where you only get a glass of. I mean, I was, yeah, traumatizing for most. Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, yeah. So that stuck with me for a while,
Hmm.
uh, and that was the weight cuts that I used to do and perform was the main reason I come to the United States, because I couldn't. It was too much in the
Ah.
body, because it was horrendous what I put myself through it. So not until later in my 30s, early 30s, then I started looking at food with the different eyes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what changed then compared to before? Was it that you were an athlete and you had to sort of cut your weight because of the match, or
Yeah.
and later that changed, or?
Well, no, it's see, it's I look at anything that I struggle with. My goal is I want to go beyond that. I want to put it
Right.
behind. It's like whether it's a struggle with food, struggle with I see things, all that. I look at it as my struggles. Even if I struggle with
Hmm.
somebody with a relationship, it's
Yeah.
not. It's my problem, So that was just one of them. I didn't want to look at food. I didn't want to feel bad about food. I want to love what I eat.
Yeah.
And I thought, how can I change the way I look at food? I want instead to eat because I have to.
Yeah.
I want to eat it because I love to.
Hmm.
So I started learning more about food, and uh, realized that hunger is not my enemy. Rather than just my body communicating with me, accepting that I sometimes I'm hungry and I don't have to do anything about it. I don't have to panic. I'm just quietly accept the fact that that's just the state of the body, and it's temporarily. And then I love to feel good and look good,
Hmm.
And again, if I don't look good and I don't feel good, that's another struggle. And I don't want to struggle, AJ. I just don't.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Food can be such an emotionally charged
it is,
subject, right?
but you see, AJ, I look at anything. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a challenge, and my goal
Yeah.
is I want to overcome that. Why do I want to live with something that I
Hmm.
have to wrestle, and that becomes my number one priority that I think about every day. I'm focusing. I'm trying to see, analyze it, and try to overcome every single whatever that is. Whether it's a credit card debt, whether it's like a body image that I have struggle with, whether it's a relationship that is not going the right. Why would I give everything?
Hmm.
Then all this take becomes priorities in my life,
Right.
and I'll give them. It's every single day a certain amount of attention and time, and if as time goes by, there goes a lot of resource in those struggles, and eventually will go away.
Hmm. Yeah, I wanted to dig a bit deeper into this. Like when you personally experience a major obstacle or challenge, what is your process of thinking through it? Are you doing some journaling? Are you setting aside time on your calendar? Are you just introspecting about it, or like how you navigating through that? Because I think that's a lot. That perspective will be very useful for a lot of people right now who are listening to this podcast, who are going through some challenge or the other, and sometimes just to understand how to think through it can make the world of a difference.
A big difference. First of all, I have to take a deep breath,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Something. First thing is acknowledging that that is a problem.
Mm.
acknowledging. And once you acknowledge that there's a problem, that I say, okay, whatever that is, whether it's my food relationship with food, and I figure out, okay, how do I again, how do I approach this? What's the
Mm-hmm.
most efficient way? I'm looking at ways to approach it. And first I study it. I like, why is this happening to me? Why do I look at that way?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And I'm not saying spending too much time on why, but sometimes people think that thinking about the reason why will fix it. That's not going to fix it. You have to pass beyond that. So I understand why, and sometimes if I don't understand why, am I looking at something like food and I'm okay. Okay, that's I'm not gonna just dwell. Try okay, okay. I understand. Maybe it's not coming to me right now. How am I gonna approach this? What are the steps that I'm gonna? Whether it's a credit card debt, whether it's like finding a job right now, finding a partner, even those steps, if those steps are something that whether I'm not comfortable taking them or I'm not used to it,
Mm-hmm.
it's not, that's irrelevant, because at this point when I make a decision, when I see that as a problem, there's
Mm-hmm.
regardless, it doesn't matter how I feel about those steps anymore. Like like for example, if I'm overweight and I need to lose weight, and I say you
Yeah.
got to wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock and go for a run, most people will expect them to want to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
they right there is a failed expectation, because you're not gonna want to do that, nor you should care whether you like it or not. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the problem. The thing is, we're not talking about how you feel about the step. You just have to
Mm-hmm.
do it. and
Mm-hmm.
and so first of all, like, acknowledge the problem, and then what are the steps. And the first step, immediate step, for example, on a credit card, I gotta stop spending.
Yeah.
Done. Stop spending money. Well, then first step on a weight loss, that you want to feel better. Okay, immediate first next meal is like, okay, I'm gonna start eating better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not gonna feel like it, but that's relevant. So I establish, I acknowledge it, set up a step system, and I start with the first step. What can I do right now? And I always, once I pass the first step, I go to the next step. What's the next step? And then the next step. And then all of a sudden, you go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
I- and resting, when I start, first I tell you a story. When I start resting, first
Yeah.
thing, I just learned one move, right? And I learned one move. Okay, so then I want to see if I can beat that guy, and I beat that guy, and then, oh, maybe I want to be the best in those guys. Then and so as I st- check more, mark, check all those steps, the new one will come. And at one point, I wanted to be a world champion.
Yeah.
It was just an next one to come. That's it's not. I never thought about world champion, being a world champion. It was just next step, that would, whatever I was, the next one will be world champion. And that's why I
Right.
approach everything. Okay, what's the first step? I got this. And if I see that there's the first step, I do it and doesn't lead me in the right direction, I
Yeah.
reassess, I go in the different direction. So, but regardless how I feel about those steps, I'm gonna take those steps.
Hmm.
This
Yeah, I like this approach a lot that you shared because first you decide what needs to be solved or what challenge, right? Acknowledging that there's a problem that needs to be solved, which I think is a important thing to do. A lot of people avoid or bypass that issue that needs resolving. So that first step is amazing, but what I also like is that you're not going straight away to taking action. You're not trying to solve the issue straight away. You're spending some time to observe.
observe. So exactly what's happening? Why this, that? Why do we go? What's the strategy here?
Yeah.
You go and jump into it, because most likely you're gonna make a mistake.
Yeah. And also, apart from jumping straight into the problem, when you observe, you're sort of noticing the emotions that might be coming through you when you just think about that problem in your life.
Oh,
Because all the
absolutely.
problems tend to be very emotional. And if you're able to observe it without any judgment, without trying to solve the issue, sometimes a lot of the problem might be solved then and there. But then also, I like that you take some form of action at that point. And this reminds me of what Tony Robbins often shares, right? Like, don't leave the site of any goal setting without some form of small action, because that'll build
Yeah.
the momentum for you to solve the problem eventually.
Yeah, and it's good to take small actions because there's more chances of you actually accomplishing.
Yeah, yeah. And so once you retired as an athlete, you say that it was harder for someone like you to make good food choices and to stay fit than it was for a normal person who had never exercised before. So tell me about that.
Oh, AJ, you see, most people don't know what athletes actually are going through after retirement. That was one of the.
Yeah,
Imagine, I started wrestling. I was 6 years old, 6, 7. Okay, I
sure.
got better, but like around 10. Then by 10, by the time I was 10 years old, I already
Hmm.
had a schedule set for me,
Right.
like schedule. Now, by the time I was 14, when I placed fourth in the world, the world championships, then I have more of a skill. Now I have the teachers come and teach me in this private thing, only for athletes. Then I had, and as the better I got at my sport, the more people made decisions for me. You
Mm.
see what I'm saying? So now I'm a 23 years old that everything was thought for me. Whether what do I eat, where do I stay, what do I wear, where do I go, and this is from January to December.
Hmm.
Now all of a sudden, AJ, you're on your own. Like I was like, I don't know how to even make a phone call. Like everything was done for me. It was
Yeah.
very difficult. So that including food, being in a training camp, you have all this healthy food established for you and set, and I have my special table that I have very little food. And for me, food, it was a way of escaping,
Hmm.
like getting back to this establishment, to my, whether it's the wrestling community, my weight class, the road that I choose, the weight class, and all that stuff. So I used to eat a lot of junk food, a lot of ice creams, a lot of drinking. It was very unhealthy. So coming back to it, like it's very difficult to kind of understand that there's all my choices. I need to make those choices for myself.
Hmm.
It was a very tough journey.
So it seems like the journey that a soldier goes through when they come out of the army, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because before it's all about structure, regimen, wake up at a certain time, have certain food, meet. So it seems like the discipline was from out towards in. The
absolutely.
system
Yes.
designed your discipline, whereas when you came out of it, you had to find a way to build that inner discipline from inside rather than from outside.
Yeah, it was a very, I mean, it was like I said, baby step. It was a fascinating world, because I got out of the Olympic Center, right in a plane, and right in LA,
Yeah,
and that was my first interaction with the civilian world, with the
yeah.
non-athletes community, not the athlete community, and it was fascinating. And I
Mhm.
didn't know that people cannot do push-ups. I didn't think
Right.
that, I didn't think that most of my friends were fit athletes, some sort. It was very interesting. And another thing that I saw, the how the people food choices were. You see,
Mhm.
growing up in an Olympic Center, AJ, um, especially having to lose all that weight over and over again. I was, and growing up with my controlling mother, I realized that everything that I do will affect me.
Mhm.
Everything. Like for example, if I took a bite out of this apple, I know how it's gonna affect me the next day at the weigh-in, when the doctor's gonna weigh us in every morning. So I knew, I was aware of everything, whether I sleep, whether I take a bite of the apple, whether I leave. At one point, everything that I did, I knew what are the effect of that. So I was not only aware that I'm doing, but also the 3 steps ahead. Well, how is that going to affect me the next day? And
Yeah.
and then one thing that I was realized, people here do not think and live like that. They don't think about the consequences of their action, and I was just very surprised to see that People just make decision and choices without thinking how that those choices are going to affect them. And
Right.
I still have I struggle with that, understanding how can somebody make a choice, whether a choice of food and a choice of activity or hobby,
Hmm.
without caring about how is that going to affect them tomorrow, how are the consequences. It's fascinating.
Mm. And so these days, um, how do you personally physically challenge yourself and keep yourself alert and sharp? Because from time to time, I see your workouts, and you've got these creative workouts that you do. But for someone who's hearing of you from the first time, how do you keep yourself alert and energized, so to speak, on a daily
Well,
basis?
yeah, I mean, sleep is very important to me.
Hmm.
So I my schedule, like sleep schedule, is like my daughter's. If I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I I need 7 hours of sleep. So if I sleep by 10, that's 7 hours. If I wake up at 4, I have to get to go to bed by 9, and that's without even it's without there's no question about that.
Hmm.
I will follow that schedule to the dot. Obviously, there's some exceptions to the rule, but very few. Unless, again, if the wake up time is later, I can stay later. Stay up later. So that's very important. Sleep is very important. I really take that very seriously. Recovery.
Hmm.
Yes, that's what happened. You see, AJ, and uh, most people, they whether people come to the gym, and they don't really realize how important is that recovery.
Hmm.
And in fact, there's no doubt that whether you and I and people that they come to the gym and train with me, they don't. There's no doubt that these people want to give everything they got.
Uh-huh.
I know you're here to give your best, and but one thing I know, they're not having in sight where they taking a break. Where is the lows? Because everything has highs and lows. They're not hitting the lows, and the highs are getting lower. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So what happened with exercise and with everything? If you don't hit the lows, your highs are getting lower because you're running out of resources. So then you might think you're going 100 miles an hour and you are so performant and so productive, but in fact you're going 60. But there's no way you can understand and see that, because you giving your best,
Right.
but your best is going down. So your performance, your results. So
Hmm.
the more I the higher, the lower you hit those lows, the always the performance will stay up there. So rest is very important.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting. I'm trying to get better and better quality sleep. That's one of my areas of improvement. And one thing I do is I put a tape on my mouth. I'm not sure if you do it or you've heard about it, but that really enhances the quality of my sleep because it encourages me to sleep, breathe in and out through my nose at night, and it allows me to be more in a parasympathetic state, so really relaxed, but also get the benefit of the nitric oxide when I'm sleeping, because I've got a deviated septum. So that sometimes triggers mouth breathing. But that's really helped me, uh,
Uh,
you know.
the, it's great. I never heard that. There's a nasal strip that I put.
Oh, you do that? Okay.
So what happened? It pulls my nose uh,
Ah,
and increases my pathway. Uh,
interesting.
that I can, because I sleep through my nose. I can sleep through. I can breathe. I breathe through my nose, not through my mouth. So
Okay.
I feel always I need to have a clear nose, and the more air I can take in, I realize the better I sleep.
No, that's great. Thanks a lot for sharing. And um, one of the other things you've mentioned is that if we don't regularly work on our bodies, where our courage, strength, and skills live, we might talk a big game, but subconsciously we don't really expect or believe that we can accomplish our goals. So tell me more about this. How is are the two things connected? Because many of our listeners are visionaries, creatives who have got big goals, visions for themselves that they'd like to manifest or bring to life. So how are the two connected?
Yeah, I mean, your body, it's your temple. There's a reason for that. I mean, like, imagine fear, doubt, it's all in your head. It's all the
Yeah,
voices. They don't live in your body. But the
yeah.
more you get familiar with your body, the more take care of your body, uh, you will give you more. I mean, uh, you see, your brain always gonna it's gonna has a lot as you grow older. You have
Yeah.
all this time, or as the years go by, your brain collects a lot of data in terms of the things that you're not good at. They will tear you apart.
Yeah.
So, and you have to stay ahead of your head. And by working with your body, by developing that relationship with your body, that you trust your body, you believe in your body, you've doing things with your body that uh, you most people don't, or that you haven't done before, or I've been
Hmm.
doing, and you know that your lifestyle is definitely uh, much elevated and more active than rest. I mean, they give you that confidence. So
Hmm.
at the end of the day, when you're under the pressure, when things are happening fast, you either find refuge in your head or in your body. The more time, whatever you spend the most time with, that's exactly where you're going. If you spend your time with you in your
Mm.
head, you're gonna go right there.
Yeah.
If you stay more body in your body, where your courage, faith, everything lives, your heart is, that's exactly where you're going.
So it allows you to be more grounded and more centered
More grounded center, you breathe.
rather than. Mhm.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you don't. There's no way that when you go in a room, let's
Mm.
assume you go in a room
Yeah.
where pretty much everybody has the same status. Nobody,
Yeah.
obviously, if you go in a room and you know that the guy next to you makes the 5 times the money that you make, there's all over you have an inferiority complex. I mean, you don't
Hmm.
have to, maybe you don't even realize, but this, that guy's, and that chapter is better than you.
Yeah.
So then, but if you go in a room, if you in that situation, or you go in a room with people that have same status, the only thing that will differentiate you from the rest of the people is what are you doing with your body.
Mm.
What are you doing with your body? What do you do? What kind of life are you living? Do you live a life
Right.
full of excitement, or what kind of life? Who are you? What do you do with your time? What do you do with your life? And that's what's gonna set you apart. That's gonna give you that confidence to step up and look people in the eyes and maybe take the lead. Uh,
Hmm.
but if you're in a room and you got nothing to show for, if you're very sedentary, you're not in love with your body. AJ, you got to be in love with your body, man. I mean, like,
Yeah.
imagine that. We all want our people to look at us, to love us, to care for us, but we're not doing that for ourselves. How hypocritical that is. When you want
That's true.
everybody else, when everybody else to take care of you, to look at you, to love you, but you're not doing that, what do you think is going to happen?
Right. That's
It's
actually
not.
a great moment of truth, right? It's like you want people to, you know, respect you and, give that aha when they look at you. But if you don't love your
But
own
you're not
self,
you're not interested in yourself. Hey, Jay,
yeah,
I tell somebody I want you to go home right now, and
yeah,
I want you to get dressed, and all of the listeners.
yeah,
And while you're doing this, I trying to understand how you feel. But I
yeah,
want you take one night when you by yourself.
mm,
Obviously, with somebody else, that's a different story. But by yourself, I want you to take yourself out, but not
hmm,
out to a restaurant. I want you to have a date with yourself. You actually are going to cook your favorite meal. You
yeah,
put your favorite clothes and have a date with yourself, and
yeah,
sit at the table with like as if somebody else will do this for you, and have
right,
that date with yourself, and be enjoy your company,
mm,
your own company. But you not 99.9% of people will not do that. They think that's stupid, silly.
yeah,
They will not do that for themselves, but yet they expect other people to put time, cook, get
Yeah.
dressed, all right. Ain't happening.
That's so true, And in myself, before I do these interviews, I already always put some cologne or perfume. I
And,
know I'm not meeting somebody in person, but I just feel different, right? I feel
and
more confident. I feel good about myself, and I know that I'm going to show up in a different way when I do my affirmations, when I do my visualization. And sometimes, especially when I started my podcast, I used to feel intimidated with my guests a lot because I'm interviewing like these top authors, right? Big performers, right? Leaders and stuff like that. And I was like, who am I? But then I started doing my affirmations and visualizations and visualizing that I'm not the one who's asking the question, but the universe is working through me. So it took off the pressure a little bit from me. And I think that helped.
yeah,
So these small
no,
things make a difference. And I love the
no,
suggestion that you gave is date
AJ,
yourself, right?
you gotta take yourself out for take not take yourself out. It's easy to go out but you have to
Yeah.
be present. You have to
Right.
listen to your breath and enjoy and think good thoughts about you, like
Mm.
how wonderful, how well, how nice, what a nice dinner you cook for yourself, what a nice pants you're wearing, how nice you, how good you smell. I mean, all that fucking, you got to do all that as if
Yeah.
you are in a date with yourself. And if you
Yeah.
can't do that, do not expect somebody else to do it, because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So don't call it silly, but you have to, AJ, you have to put something. If yourself is as important as anybody else, but you have to put time, effort, love, everything in you. And
Hmm.
not shopping doesn't do. You have to put time, like spend time, skill, cut vegetables. I don't care. Wash your clothes, but I don't care. You do something for yourself. Not money.
Hmm.
Money is not the same. You have to actually put time and effort. Yeah, it's tricky. AJ, it's tricky. I coach so many people, and what I have them do, they look at me like, but it makes sense. Everything makes sense. And when I explain the way I do here, and I tell them,
Right.
listen, you what do you expect? And then all of a sudden you cannot do that. So it's like treat yourself in the real way, the way you want others to treat you. So, which means cook yourself a meal.
Yeah. Love that. Love that recommendation. And I'm sure with all that's happening around the world and dining is getting closed, you might have to cook for yourself at your own home. But it's a great idea, candlelight, clean your house, switch on the
Ev-
essential oils, right? Bring
One,
stuff home.
absolutely.
I love that. So, Action Tribe, make sure that you try this out. Set a date for yourself, by yourself, enjoy the company of yourself. Now, Leo, when it comes to achieving your goals, what role does visualization play for you? Do you do a lot of visualization of your goal, feel as if you're already there, sense it, know it, and then you find that you've manifested that goal? How's your thought process like?
It's that's 100% accurate, but don't let that fool you, because there's two types of the things I felt
Yeah.
when I won every world and gold medal, the world championship and gold medal that I won. I felt that was mine. Right, as
Okay.
was a, I knew it. It's mine. I got it. It's just a matter of time to get there. It's a feeling like it you can't explain. It's just
Right.
it's you feel it right here. Again, not here. It's here.
Yeah.
So but sometimes especially lately and with career path, with future as you get older, sometimes things get tricky, and you
Yeah.
don't really see it, and whether and again, actively trying to look for it,
Yeah.
again, you just don't expect to just pop in your lap, but just act. So sometimes you don't see it, you just don't see it.
Yeah.
But don't let that get discourage you. So you start going, take some initiative, like for example, you are bored, pick a guitar, see, maybe you like to play guitar, maybe you like to learn. You're not gonna know until you do it, some
Right.
things. So yes, visualization is great, and it's almost you feel it rather than see it, because first you feel it in your heart, and then it's kind of project, and you kind of, but it's a feeling, and I feel it. If it's right,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. But sometimes if you don't feel anything and you get antsy, start doing stuff. Start doing stuff.
Love that. Love that. And so, you've alluded to this also, but you work with elite athletes, champions, right? And people that have a high expectation of themselves. What sets them apart? How do they approach their practice or their work differently compared to the rest?
Yeah, well, they have a goal, man. It's I love working with athletes because it's I put them. It's a lot of pressure between their performance and their goals because they come
Hmm.
and say, "I want to do this. I want to accomplish this." And trust me, everybody's got a big goals.
Yeah.
So, and I hold their goal as a threshold and push them against that, and they
Hmm.
have to perform because without realizing this, the higher the goal you are set for yourself, the better the performance you gotta put up. So most people they just
Yeah.
throw things away. I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to do this. Once you set goals like that, you don't realize what that goal requires of you. So when
Hmm.
the athletes come and with those crazy goals or just goals, then I use that as a mirror and I push him closer to that mirror. And sometimes some people they can't stand, they break. I mean, I wish I could do that with all the clients, but no, I can't. It's very powerful tool.
Interesting. I love that you mentioned that first the person needs to have a goal. The larger the goal, the more the work that needs to be done,
Yeah,
mindset as well as the actual steps that need to be
yeah.
taken. And sometimes people break, but
But AJ, when I say something, you say something, mind steps, mind,
yeah,
and then versus the steps that need to be taken. You
right.
guys, people need to understand that nothing is really, um, and this is very just bad. Nothing is really hard. It's that the whatever the goal demands of you, you're not willing to
Hmm.
give. You're just
Hmm.
not willing to give. It's not that the
Hmm.
goal is hard. You're just not willing to give that. So when you set a goal,
Yeah.
just give to that goal. Whatever that goal requires of you, just give it. And
Mm.
that's how it works. If you resist, the reason you're not moving forward is because you resist, you're not
Hmm.
giving. It's
Mm.
all about giving. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, give part of let go of part of yourself. That's what you give. You give yourself. You give
Yeah.
that part. Let it go. Like I
Yeah.
said, people are so nice to their fat, but you got to be you don't need, fat is not your friend. So don't be
Yeah.
so gentle. Don't be so nice. Okay. I'm not saying to say mean things about it, but let her go.
Yeah.
You holding on. You like it. Let her go. Don't hold it. Let her go. We'll go away. Trust me.
Yeah. 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 I love that. I mean, it feels as if when you set a goal and you're really serious about it, the goal takes a life of its own and it requires things from you. And sometimes
Romeo
that could be, fat. Sometimes that could
could
be
could be
sacrifices,
could
right?
be waking up early.
Waking up early,
Could
right?
be
Hmm.
eating less, could be eating better, could be a lot of things. You just have
Yeah.
to give.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's uh my gym is like a lab. I mean, it's so much behavior, but it all comes down to just folks, we've always feel a certain way and
Hmm.
always likes to get involved with our feelings. But most times we kind of mix up that, there's times when you listen to your feelings and acknowledge your feelings and entertain your feelings. But there's times when your feelings then don't really matter.
Hmm.
So your feelings, I mean, if you have a goal and you want to wake up in the morning to run or to eat better, oh, I don't feel like, who cares how you feel? Don't be so
Yeah.
involved in your feelings so much. Just get
Yeah.
up. Don't dwell on how you feel. You're gonna feel it anyways. Just do your things. That's
Yeah.
the feeling is gonna stay with you, but it's gonna leave. But just always pay attention and invest time and effort in the feelings that you want to keep around.
Yeah. That's very true because the feelings are going to be there anyway, right? Either you're going to feel right now and you don't do what you said you would do, or you do what you said you would do. Maybe that's waking up in the morning or not having that cookie. But then once you do exactly what you said you would do, you feel, but you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, it's just exercise. Like it's,
Yeah.
oh my god, I'm gonna wake up at 5. You're gonna get that a little anxiety, a little, oh, oh my god, what am I? Oh my god, oh my god. Just take a deep breath
Yeah.
and just don't entertain it. Don't-
Mm.
And don't entertain. Oh my god, okay, take a deep breath, read a book. It's gonna the voice is gonna leave you alone at some point. Don't just start communicating back and forth because the voice is not you. By the way, it's just a voice.
Yeah. So, what advice do you have for someone who is at home, right? Quarantine maybe, and not has does not have access to a gym, but would like to get fit and lose some weight? Is it possible to work
Oh
out at
yeah.
home, or do you
No,
recommend going to the gym?
there's so many resources now. There's so many classes online. I mean, you
Yeah.
have right now. You got no excuse, man. You got no excuse. I mean, you can beat around the bush. You can come up with us. Just go online. There's free classes everywhere. A million YouTube channels with workout, exercise, diets. I mean, just pick one. Pick one.
Yeah.
If you don't know which one, just hire some guy. Pay him an hour, 2 hours, pay an hour a week to guide you through a process. Get them, hire them for 4 weeks. In four
Mhm.
weeks, you get something in place. I mean, there's no excuse. Come on, come on. What are you? We're not kids anymore. Come on, just
Yeah.
your dog ate your homework. Is that what you're gonna say? Come on, just
Yeah.
get you know. I mean, stop fooling yourself. It's not working.
so,
It's yeah. Don't
so
be
there you
full.
go, action tribe.
Yeah, you're full of shit. Come on, that's the thing with you guys. You gotta admit it. When you're full of shit, you're full of shit. Okay, I cannot. I'm full of shit. I can't. And I admit it. I'm full of shit
Yeah.
too sometimes. And I call myself out. I look in the mirror. Come on, bro. That was bullshit. That was bullshit. No,
Yeah.
nah. Don't take any bullshit from yourself. Care him.
Yeah.
Don't put up with any shit, man. Even from yourself, and especially from yourself. And we all get all bent out of shape when somebody's treating us, say something bad, or you hurt my feelings. But what are you doing to yourself every day? Come on, you put out a lot more shit from yourself than somebody else.
Love that. We've got Coach Leo, who's sort of motivating all of us, especially people listening to this episode right now. Think about what is that goal you have for this year or for the rest of this year, and just pick the goal, and based on what we've shared so far, make sure that you take just one step towards your new life, your new direction. And Leo, you've organized an amazing retreat called Breakthrough 2021 that is coming up next month,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's coming
So
up to
tell us a bit
May.
about this.
It's gonna be amazing. May 13, 15 in Carlsbad, California. Come join us for 3 days of world champions, Olympians, world class coaches and wellness experts. It's a phenomenon. I got the best in the industry under one roof. I live in Olympic centers and camps, and I live with all those fellow athletes and professional coaches and trainers. And that's powerful, man. You get all these guys that want you leave that's going to change your life. Events like this can't change your life, but again, you got to stop listening to your script and get over your shit and do something. Extraordinary people live extraordinary lives. You gotta do something different. Stop
Mm,
listening to those lies. Oh, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have blah. You know what, let somebody else. Life is meant to be lived. If you see something that's holding you back, do something that you haven't done before. Get out of your comfort zone. Do something. Take a chance. You might meet some new people. You might actually experiencing life.
mhm.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I have a nutritionist. You're gonna teach that breathing the class that you taught. I mean, everybody should take that class. They think they breathe. You breathe the way you breathe for like at 40, 60%. You perform 40, 60%. You can't take 60% oxygen and put 100% performance. You can't. I mean, like, we live Most people live mediocre life. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. What the? Excuse my. What are you doing? Wake up. You you're wasting your time, your life. You're gonna be 90. You look back and you're gonna hate yourself. You're gonna when you get to be 80, 90 years old, you look back and say, "What a fool I was for not doing more." I mean, do it
Mhm.
now. Don't wait to be 90 and 100 years old and give tell others, people your age, "Oh, dude, live your life. If I was your, just do it now. Do it now. Let's go."
So, Breakthrough 2021, we'll have the link up in the show notes, but it promises to be an amazing event, 13th to
Amazing.
15th
Yeah.
May. I'm also going to be performing, so I'm going to be hosting and conducting a breathwork awakening journey. And I wish I could
Oh,
be coming in person, but unfortunately, I'm awaiting my Canadian citizenship. And so, in the meantime, I'm not able to travel, and especially because of this whole Corona thing that's happening, it's
hey
restricted
Jay,
travel for sure.
we're gonna make it the way that you're gonna look like you are actually there. So
Yes, exactly.
I'm so excited for that
Really
class,
excited.
AJ.
Yeah.
I am gonna be part of the audience. I'm not gonna miss that opportunity.
For sure. I have designed a shamanic journey so
Oh,
that,
oh,
right, we have our intentions, we have what we are visualizing, and we go into a deep state where we are able to connect with our higher self. We're also able to let go of any emotion stuck blockages and energies that are no longer serving us, so that once we awaken, we feel refreshed, we
oh
feel
my God.
reborn. So, looking forward to that. And yeah, we'll have the link up in the show notes. So, especially for people who are in the USA, in California, got to make this event because it promises to be amazing. So, Leo, what is that one legacy that you hope to leave in this world?
Uh, I want to. If it's my wish, I wanna be the example how you should live your life. Like this is how you live. Let's say I live
Hmm.
and a life worth living. It is not always filled with only with successes and winnings and gain. It's both. Embrace them both. And I hoped and wished to set an example for my daughters first of all, and for the people that I work with, and just live your life. Don't waste. Don't wait.
Wonderful. I know for a fact that you set an amazing example for your daughters as a father, and I love watching your feed on Instagram.
Thank you so much.
Really, really endearing, and I look forward to being a father like you
Yeah.
when the time comes. But Action Tribe, I hope you enjoyed today's session so far. What we're finding out is that each one of us is going through some or the other challenges or obstacles in our life. And because we have these challenges in our lives, sometimes we need to rebuild ourselves from the ground up and challenge that inner warrior that I know is deep down within you. And this doesn't mean running a marathon or working out for 3 to 4 hours each day. It could just mean deciding that you'd like to make a change in your life. Take just one step in that direction. Because that one action, that one step can build the momentum to transform your entire life. Because as Robin Sharma, the author, motivational speaker, once put, discipline is built by consistently performing small acts of courage. So think
That's it.
about what is that one small act of courage that you're going to do today? And it could be as simple as loving yourself, expressing self love for yourself, for your body, for your mind, for your heart, and the people in your life. So, Leo, we have come to the last round for today. 4 questions, rapid fire round style, so that our listeners can take note and take action. What is the best piece of advice that you have received?
Um, it's gonna go. It's just everything is temporarily.
And if you could turn back time, spend 1 hour with someone living or dead, who would it be?
Um, my first coach.
Amazing. What is it
Yeah.
one thing you do in the morning or maybe in the evening before you sleep that has improved the quality of your life?
I wash my face with cold water when I wake up in the morning. I drink a big glass of water, both
Great.
religiously.
Nice. And what is it one book you'd like to recommend for our listeners tonight?
Uh, I'm into both novels and some read Shantaram. Shantaram. It's an Indian novel. I think,
Mhm.
but it's based on a true story. Actually, if I'm correct, one of the best books I've read since we're here with you, AJ.
Amazing, Action Tribe. Would you like to receive this book, Shantaram, for free? Because you can. Audible.com is offering all of our listeners one free Audible download with a free 30-day trial so that you can get to not only listen to this book, but to check out their other books as well. They've got a huge library online, and you can fit these books because they're downloads on your phone. You can have hundreds of books and listen to a book whenever you're in transit, in the park, or somewhere else, because listening is the new reading, and this is free. So go to my7chakras.com forward slash free book, my7chakras.com forward slash free book, and download Shantaram because it's a very popular book. I haven't read it myself, but I've heard it recommended numerous times in the past. So, Leo, thank you so much for joining us today. Before you go, tell us one thing that you're grateful for and how can we find you online?
Thank you for so first of all, thank you for having me, Jay. Great content. I love your story. I love your protos and your podcast. You're doing a great job, and your listeners are very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Um, uh, well, I'm grateful for my daughters. I'm grateful for everything that I have in my life right now. My friends, my family, everything else. I'm a blessed man, and everybody can find me. You can go to at www.leofrincu leofrincu.com. I got a blog. I got all kind of stuff, freebies, a lot of good stuff. And look me up on Instagram at Leo Frincu at Leo Leofrincu.
Awesome. We'll have all those links up in the show notes. Action Tribe, if you enjoyed this episode, if you loved this episode, if you found something new in this episode, then do one thing. Take a screenshot of this episode and tag both me and Leo on Instagram. My handle is at my7chakras, and Leo's handle, you can just search for him, Leo Frincu, and you'll find his handle. But tag both of us so that we can share your story with our communities because that's how we connect. Apart from that, if you would like to reach out for feedback, comments, observations, or if you'd like a breathwork session with me or with our group, then make sure that you email me, AJ at my7chakras.com. AJ, my7chakras.com. It really makes me happy to connect with our listeners. It really makes my day. So whether it's writing an iTunes review or joining me in one of my future breathwork sessions, let's become a community. Instead of just being me speaking and you listening, let's really connect and grow together. Leo, thank you so much for joining us on this episode, talking to us about important topics like discipline and courage and resilience and not giving up and being vulnerable and sharing your story and taking us one step closer to a human revolution.
Thank you so much, AJ. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.